How's it going, guys? Today I'm excited to have Heidi with us.
Hello.
Heidi is an expert dealing in matters of immigration and other related services. I know you guys are going to find a lot of helpful things in what she has to say, so let's go.
Subscribe now.
All right, Heidi, really great to have you here with us.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So can you let everybody know just a bit more about yourself and also about your company, the name of it, and what you guys do?
All right, so I'm Heidi. I am the CEO and co-founder of C&G Consulting. I am an immigration specialist. I am an HR expert, and I am also a compliance specialist. So my company is an expat one-stop shop. We help expats when they come here to the Philippines from getting your driver's license, getting your immigration, starting companies, to getting married. So if there's anything that you need in terms of Philippine compliance, anything related to government, my company does it.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So tell me how you got into this field. You started your company about how long ago?
I started my company about 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I've been doing this for over 7 years.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So you've been primarily on the HR side of it, the immigration side of it, or it's a lot of experience?
It was actually funny how it happened. My background is in law, so I applied in a consulting company, a Japanese consulting company, as a legal assistant. But I was actually part of the pioneering batch, and they wanted me to hire people. So I was doing compliance and then HR at the same time while being hired at that company. Yeah. So from 3 people, we built it up to like 13 of us for like the 3 years. And in that duration, I've been handling mostly Japanese, so expats here in the Philippines. And that's how I thought about starting this business.
Very cool. And before doing the immigration side of it as well?
Yeah, we did the immigration side of it all. So basically what we did was when Japanese clients come to the Philippines, we help them out with their immigration and setting up their business.
Very
so
good.
That's how I started.
Okay.
And I realized that they were paying me not so great.
Right.
And no one was evaluating me. So it was just a small company. So one day I just walked out of the office and was like, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah. So when we talked the first time, that's one of the things I really admired about you. I think a lot of people, especially here in the Philippines, you know, they're very knowledgeable. They have a lot of expertise, but they're willing to just kind of stay in that position forever, and not too many people have the guts to kind of take the entrepreneurial step to start their own business. So what was it that pushed you finally, you know, of course it's the money, but you know, I think just internally there's so much goes on to make, you know, the decision to step out on your own. Did you always want to start your own business before, or how did that come about? I
always thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
But I think my business partner kind of inspired me to step out of my comfort zone. I think for Filipinos, the security of having an income is what we're comfortable with. And when we grow up, we're like told by our parents, like, oh, go to school, get a job, and get a good job to stay on your job. And that's the mindset that you're built with. But I think being exposed to foreigners kind of made me realize that, you know what, I can do more. And if I'm already doing this at this company, then I can definitely do it on my own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really admire that. So you started really during the pandemic.
Yes.
Which is, you know, definitely a very challenging time to start a business. Are you still working mostly with Japanese clients or people from other countries as well?
Right now we're working with everyone from everywhere. So now I have Japanese. I actually had clients who followed me in my business. Germans, Americans, Australians. We have Canadians who are working with us. So those are like the top 5 that we're working with. But we cater to everyone, basically.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when people get in touch with you, you know, is it mostly about one main thing? Or are they asking, you know, to start a business here or to retire here? You know, what do you find people need your services for with immigration?
The funny thing is, normally it starts off as immigration. And I call these clients like unicorn clients because they normally get more than one service. They like it so much they will like get us for other things. So a lot of my clients, we started off with immigration. So we get their visas, and after we get their visa, we do a good job. They give us a really nice review, and then after that, like, oh, I want to start my own company in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Can you do this? And we're like, yes, we can do this. So it goes on like that. Oh, I met a girl. I want to marry her.
Right.
This is actually a true story. I met a girl. I want to marry her. How do I get married in the Philippines? And we help them with their marriage licenses. And then they're like, oh, can I still drive in the Philippines? I need my driver's license converted. We help them with that. So normally these clients have been like working with us with anything that's government related. Fun fact, I actually ended up organizing one of my clients' weddings.
Really? Yeah. All right, so you got your wedding planner cap on as well. Very good.
Jill of all trades.
Yeah.
But we specialize in immigration mostly right now. Yeah.
That's great. So let's maybe look at somebody that is, maybe they're overseas right now, or maybe they're even here in the Philippines and checking things out, deciding if this is where they want to be, whether they're in their home country now or in the Philippines. Say somebody wanted to come here to, retire. How much of a challenge is that? And what kind of things would you help them with?
It depends. So first of all, if they want to come here in the Philippines, they have to figure out what they want when they come here. Is it to start a business? Is it to retire here in the Philippines?
Let's say just retire only.
Okay,
for these
retire
guys.
in the Philippines. So if you're a retiree in the Philippines and you want to come here to enjoy our beaches and stuff, there's actually a way for you to stay here long term with a visa.
Okay.
So that is called a Special Resident Retirees Visa, or an SRRV. This is usually granted by the Philippine Retirement Authority. And there are different kinds. So it depends if you have pension or no pension. There are specific deposits for these visas, but these are indefinite visas where you can come in and out of the country multiple times.
Okay.
And this actually means that you will be a resident here in the Philippines.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to come over here as a tourist. What do you find that it helps out with people if they're going to actually get like a retiree visa?
So if you get with every visa that you get here in the Philippines, if you're going to stay here for longer and you want to remain here in the Philippines, I always recommend that people actually apply for a visa, any sort, indefinite or definite visa. Because what if another pandemic happens and it's hard for you to come back to the country, right? So applying for these visas assures you that you can come back here in the Philippines and you can live here and you don't have to worry about not being able to be let in the country. Right. And it also, when you're a tourist here and for some reason you started a business, it's good to always be on the good side of immigration. For sure. Right? Because if you're here and you're on tourist, that means you're position here is just to sightsee, to go around, But even when you're given 3 years as a tourist to extend month to month, it's still best for you to have a valid standing here in the Philippines. Sure.
So the Philippines does seem a lot more generous than a lot of other countries on the tourist side of it, but it really makes sense that the government is really seeing that people are committed to being here, if they're getting one of these types of visas. And I think things like bank accounts and a lot of those things are going to be a lot easier to get if you have a visa as well, right?
Yes. Basically, you can open your bank account, you can have a driver's license, and it won't be hard for you to open anything here in the Philippines if you have a valid visa.
So that makes a lot of sense, and I think there's so many people that come over here to retire. I'm just curious, do you think that's the number one visa that expats gets here is a retiree visa?
Yes, if they're over the age of 50, definitely the SRRV is the best visa for them to get.
Okay, only 50.
Only 50. Before they used to do 35, but they kind of realized these youngins are coming here and staying for a long time. So now that it's over 50, then you can get an SRR visa.
Right. Everything is younger here. So I think people here, if you're even 40, often people start talking to you like you're old. Over here, retiring in the U.S., I think that's 65 to 70 years old these days. So even 50, I could get a retiree visa. It's making me feel old. I'm turning 50 this year.
Oh, you are? I thought you're turning 50.
I am.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. June 10th, people, don't forget the birthday present.
Oh my gosh.
So what about others? I think that there's people that sometimes will get in touch with me on the channel because mostly they've met a Filipina and they want to be able to move here and, they're just really trying to figure out the work side of it. So some ask about, is there jobs available to expats here or, what about starting a business here? So how about first, if people want to come over here to get a job in the Philippines, it's pretty tough as a foreigner to find many job openings, but I do have friends over here that are expats, you know, working. What's it like, you know, to go through that process if you want to get a visa for working over here?
Okay, so definitely for working visa, you get the 9G visa or the pre-arranged employment visa. That's valid for 1 to 3 years, depending on how long your employment will be. But you can actually renew it. So if your company sponsor or the company that you're working for, because this visa is actually attached to that company. So this visa is one of the longest, not one of the hardest. It's the easiest, but one of the longest. Because you go to 3 government agencies. So you need an Alien Employment Authority from the Department of Justice, an Alien Employment Permit from the Department of Labor, and finally your 9G visa with the Bureau of Immigration.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So you said that takes a long time.
Yes.
What do you think the average is?
For every visa, provided that all documents are ready and you've gotten like the first 2, the AEA, the AEP, it normally takes 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, for a 9G
so
visa.
not terrible, but
terrible.
a bit of time. Yeah.
Yes, a bit of time.
Yeah, and so can you already be here as a tourist while those are processing, or do you have to be in your home country?
You have to be here in the Philippines, but on the application process. So upon submission, you need to be here in the Philippines because they need to get your biometrics and take your picture. But they won't keep your passport. So after submission, you can go wherever you want, but as long as the visa is not approved yet. So when it's approved, you have to come back here and then do the implementation. So after 3 to 4 months, once you get your approval, you need to go back to immigration and have it approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty flexible. Whether, you know, if somebody is in, you know, New Zealand and, you know, they want to work over here, they could fly over here, put in the papers, go back to New Zealand, keep working until it gets approved, or they could just stay here as a tourist.
Yes.
Yeah, very helpful.
So, but very helpful. Something you need to know, do not start the job unless you got your visa approved, because you can get in trouble if you do that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. So what about, you know, working but starting your own business here? You know, I know having a business over here, there's a lot of different options for that. So tell us a bit more about business visas over here.
Okay. For business visas, there's a couple visas that you can explore. I'll start with the SIRV, which is Special Investors Residence Visa. For this visa, you need about 75,000 USD that you will remit to the Board of Investments. And this 75,000 USD, you would have to invest it in either publicly listed companies, a new corporation, property, and others that are in the IPP or the investment priorities of the Philippines. So when you get this visa, it's an indefinite visa also, but it depends. You can have it for as long as your investments are here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So when you apply for it, you get a 6 months probationary SIRV. You get your card, your stamp, and then you can apply for a permanent one once you've already placed your investments in the 4 things that I mentioned.
Sure.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, what might this look like for one of your clients? So they have $75,000. They need to know the approved areas.
Yes. So for my clients, they usually get a financial advisor. And that financial advisor would usually get them to invest in publicly listed companies. Yeah. Or another client of ours also invested in his own company. So it all works out. So depending on how much you're going to invest in the Philippines, you'd rather get an SIRV for like a very long time.
Yeah.
Because you can stay here for as long as your investments are here in the Philippines.
And to me, it just makes more sense to invest into your own company.
Yes,
so why,
basically.
I mean, does everybody wind up doing that, just investing into their own company?
I think for this visa, what the government is trying to do is to encourage foreigners to invest in the Philippine stock market. So that's why the publicly listed companies are included.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So tell us about other types of visas for business owners.
Another one that you can get is SVEG, or Special Visa for Employment Generation.
Okay.
So unlike the SIRV and the other visas that I was talking about, this is actually, there's no capital requirement. So you just need to come here and tell the government that you're going to employ at least 10 Filipinos. So this one doesn't deal with the Board of Investments. This one only deals with the Bureau of Immigration and Department of Labor.
Yeah.
So this one is a lot more easier to get because you're only dealing with 1 or 2 government agencies.
So that makes a lot of sense. So for businesses over here that are going to have more employees,
Yeah.
it really seems like a much easier route to go. Yes.
Yes.
So with this one, it doesn't take the 75,000
No
up front, but you need to make sure that you have 10 or more employees.
Yes. So this one has no capital requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 main options for people considering to start a business over here.
Yes.
Very good. So many other people here. I would say people probably come here either to retire or to get married.
Yeah.
And maybe both at the same time. So what about, if somebody is married over here? Tell us more about the process of that.
Okay, so for foreigners who want to get married here in the Philippines, there's a lot of them.
Yes, there is.
My country has like very good looking people.
Yes, it does. True story.
So we have the 13A visa, or what we normally call as a spousal visa. So for 13A, first get married. If you're married abroad, register your marriage here in the Philippines through the Department of Foreign Affairs. But if you got married here in the Philippines, better, because you can just get your documents from the Philippine Statistics Authority. So after you're married, you get all the other documentations that are being asked, and then you apply for a 13A probationary. So your 13A probationary is valid for 1 year. And then after 1 year, you can get a 13A permanent. So now you've become basically a resident here in the Philippines also.
Sure.
Yeah.
So say, for example, that somebody is 50 or above, still young at that 50, but they could either get a retirement visa or they're married, they could get a marriage visa. Any recommendations?
If you're over 50 and you want to save costs and you don't mind your visa being attached to your spouse, because that's normally the issue.
Right.
So I would suggest, and also if you don't want a capital requirement, because the SRRV does have like a deposit requirement, I would suggest get a 13A.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you do not want your visa to be attached to your spouse, you don't want to spend money on the deposits, then get an SRRV.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. So it depends how you're feeling about your new bride.
Significant other.
Over here. Okay.
Do I trust this one or no?
Right. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So across the board for these visas, normally around 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
The cost sounds like there could be pretty huge range depending on what type of visa you're going to get as well.
Yes. Also depending on the situation of the client. So we normally adjust it depending on the situation of the client. But normally visas are approved 3 to 4 months. If someone tells you it'll be approved in a month, trust me, that's not the right way to do it.
Sure. Maybe a little something extra going on behind the scenes.
Something extra going on behind the scene, yeah.
I really understand. So we talked about a handful of different visas. Any other that we haven't talked about so far?
There's the Quota visa.
What's that?
The Quota visa is like a visa lottery, basically.
Got it.
So this visa is approved to you on basis of merit. So you have to show the Bureau of Immigration that you will be a useful resident here in the Philippines.
Okay.
Because they only approve 50 nationalities per year. So 50 per country per year. Okay. So that means if you're a Canadian, they approve 50 Canadians, 50 Germans per year. So you would either have special qualifications, like for example, so either 3 that I'm going to mention. Special qualifications, for example, you're a physicist, you're a scientist, you just won a Nobel Peace Prize, you have a really good degree or certification that is your credential.
Sure.
Second is you have remitted at least 50,000 USD to the Philippines. You don't have to deposit this. You just have to show that you've actually put in 50,000 USD in the Philippines. And next is ownership of property, or if you have bought condo in the last 4 years prior to applying for this visa.
Okay.
So either of those 3 things. But the good thing about this is it's an immigrant visa. So people always think that, they're gonna become a Filipino citizen. It's actually very hard to become a Filipino citizen. Either a law has to be passed or you have to have Filipino by blood.
Oh, really?
So So they usually think that, oh, if I get a Quota visa, I'm gonna be a citizen of the Philippines, which is not the case. You just become a resident here in the Philippines, more permanent than the others.
Definitely will do. Guys, if you need help, check in the description below for how to get in touch with Heidi and her company. And as always, guys, thank you for taking the time to watch, and take care.